you to the new session of physics. In the last class, we discussed about motion. For describing motion, we need position and time, and we discussed about distance and displacement, the classification of distance and displacement. So these are the things that we discussed in the previous class, and we discussed one more thing about types of motion. That is, there are two types of motion: uniform and non-uniform motion. If the distance and the time both are changing equally, we will call it as uniform motion. If it is not like that, we call it as non-uniform motion. So these are the portions that we discussed in the previous class. Today we are going to discuss about some new portions about regarding motion. That means apart from distance and displacement, we need some more things to know about motion, in which something like speed, velocity, acceleration, such kind of parameters are over there. Today we are going to discuss about all those things. Okay, so we are starting with a new word that is called as speed. In order to discuss about speed, I'm going to give you one condition. Initially I had an object. That object was situated at one position, and the position is changed right now. So what I have a distance, a change in path length. The path length is changed, that is considered as distance. So I have the distance right now. Along with the distance, if I am measuring the time also, how much time it take for the transmission, or how much time it took for changing from one position to another, how much time was over there. So now I have two parameters, one is distance, another one is time. If I have distance and time, I can find out the another parameter. That parameter is known as speed. What it is? Speed. How will I find out the speed? Speed means it is a ratio of distance and time. What is speed? It is the ratio of distance and time. Means if I have distance and if I have the time, then I can simply find out speed. For example, an object which is moved a distance of 10 centimeter, it will take a time of 2 seconds. Okay, 10 centimeter in 2 seconds. So what is the speed? It is simply 10 divided by 2. Okay, 10 divided by 2 means 5 centimeter per second. That's the speed of that object. So here you have the equation to find out the speed which is equal to distance divided by time. We can represent that by mathematically v which is equal to s divided by t, where s stands for distance and t stands for time and v stands for the speed. So there is a unit, SI unit is over there. What do you mean by SI? SI means System International or internationally accepted unit, that we are measuring. You will study about later. Now you just study something like this. Distance will always measured in meters, time will always measured in seconds. Okay, distance will always measured in meter, time will always measured in second. So what is the unit of distance? That means meter. Time, unit of time is second, and speed means it is the ratio of distance and time, means distance divided by time. So what is the unit of speed? That is meter per second. Distance will measured in meter, time will measured in second. So distance divided by time, that means meter divided by second. So the unit of time is what is unit of time? It is meter per, unit of speed is meter per second. Unit of speed is meter per second. So this much things that we want to concentrate. You can see those portions are over here. What is the unit of speed? That means meter per second. Here you can see meter per second. Meter per second is also written as m divided by s. Along with that, we can written as ms raised to minus 1. What is ms raised to minus 1? Which is nothing but which is we are writing in a reciprocal manner. In your mathematics, you studied about these things. So these are the things about speed. Okay, once again, what is distance? It is the total path length traveled. How much time it take for the journey, that is measured in seconds. So if you know the distance and time, we can find out the third parameter, that is speed. What is speed? It is the ratio of distance and time. Okay, so here you have two cars are over there. The cars are named as A and B, and the car is moving in 30 meter per second and 40 meter per second. So which car will have the more speed? Yeah, exactly. The car which is moving in 40 meter per second, that have more speed. That has more speed, right? So means here car A is moving with the high speed, that is 40 meter per second. So we are moving to the next word, that is average speed. What is average speed? Average speed means it is the ratio of total distance traveled by total time taken. Suppose I have a person, the person who is traveled from A to B, then who traveled from B to C. So what is the total distance travel? The total distance traveled will be the distance, sum of distance from A to B and the distance from B to C. So that is the total distance. Similarly, the total time means the time from A to B and the time from B to C. So that is the thing that we are finding in average speed. What is average speed? It is the ratio of total distance traveled divided by total time taken. Here you have a question. When you are moving to this question, a car travels 85 km from point A to point B, then 45 km from B to C, and the time is given as 1.3 hours. So what is the total distance? The distance from A to B is 85 km and from B to C is 45 km. So the total distance is 85 plus 45, which is equal to 130 km. And the total time was given as 1.3 hours. So the average speed can be found out by total distance traveled divided by total time taken, which is 130 divided by 1.3. That's why 100 km per hour. That is the average speed. I hope this much is clear for you. What are the things that we studied on today? We studied about speed. What is speed? It is the ratio of distance divided by time. If we know the distance and if we know the time, we can find out the speed. What is the unit of speed, or what is the SI unit of speed? That is meter per second. SI unit of distance, that is meter, denoted by m. Time, SI unit of time is second, denoted by s. So the SI unit of speed is meter per second, denoted by m divided by s. And move to average speed. What is average speed? The total distance divided by total time taken. And the unit of average speed is also meter per second. We have another unit, that another unit is kilometer per hour. It is the higher unit of it. Okay, I will tell you about the conversion of kilometer per hour into meter per second. Now just you leave it. What do you mean by 1 kilometer? How many meters are there in 1 kilometer? 100 meters are 100 meters? 1000 meters are there in 1 kilometer. 1000 meters are there in 1 kilometer. And how many seconds are there in 1 hour? 60 seconds are there in 1 hour. So if you are taking 1000 kilometer, sorry, 1000 meter divided by 60 second, then you will get the unit values in meter per second. Okay, it's just about a conversion. We will discuss about later in the numerical portion. Now we are concentrating only about the unit part. What is unit of speed? Which is the meter per second. Unit of average speed is meter per second. And what is speed? Distance divided by time. And what is average speed? It is again, it is the total distance divided by total time taken. Okay, this much portions are clear. Now we are moving to another portion, that is considered as velocity. What it is? Velocity. It is nothing but it's a very small concept. If we are discussing the speed with the direction, then we will call it as velocity. What is velocity? The quantity which gives speed and direction, then we will call it as velocity. If a quantity which give you speed and along with the direction, then we will call it as velocity. Speed with direction is known as velocity. We can find out the velocity by using the equation displacement divided by time. What is velocity? It is the displacement divided by time. Velocity will have both magnitude and direction. Then what kind of quantity it will be? It will be vector quantity. We had discussed in the previous class. If a quantity which have both magnitude and direction, we will call it as vector quantity, right? In this picture, when you are looking on that, there are different directions you can see over there. One of the car is moving with 30 mile per hour in towards the east direction. Means you just concentrate on the direction. So towards the east direction, another car is moving with another speed towards the east direction, and another car is moving with an northwest direction. Means in all these conditions, directions are also given to you along with the speed. So we will call it as velocity. What is velocity? Speed with direction is known as the velocity. Speed with direction is known as the velocity. Okay, this much is clear. Speed and velocity. Now we are going to compare these two, speed and velocity. What is speed and velocity? Speed means it is a scalar quantity which gives you the magnitude only, but whereas the velocity means which is a vector quantity which give you both magnitude and direction. This much is clear. Now to this thing, what is speed? Speed is again give you how much fast that you are traveling, and velocity means what is the speed in a given direction, means how much speed that you are traveling into a particular direction. That is considered as velocity. Okay, do you understand the difference between speed and velocity? Nothing but one have direction along with the magnitude, another does not have the direction, which have only the magnitude. Means units and all other concepts are same. Clear? Now we can go for the equations of velocity. We discussed that what is velocity. Velocity means it is the ratio of displacement divided by time. It is ratio of displacement divided by time, and we find that which have some directions over there. Now we are moving to find out the average velocity. What is average velocity? Average velocity means which have two equations. While you are reading your textbook, you can see that two equations are over there. One of the equation is total displacement divided by total time taken. That means it is the ratio of total displacement divided by total time taken. That is known as average velocity. Another equation is initial velocity plus final velocity divided by 2. Means sum of the initial and final velocities and half of that. What is initial velocity? Initially the object had the velocity, that is known as initial velocity. Suppose if a car is at rest and the car is started to move, so which is the initial condition? Rest. So what is the initial velocity? That is 0. And if the car is moving with the 5 meter per second, what is that 5 meter per second? It is the final velocity. What is the initial velocity? It is the 0, because the initial condition was rest. That's why initial velocity is 0. It will be varying depending upon the situation. Okay, while you are solving more things or knowing about more, you will understand what the difference between initial and final. What is initial? Means initial case or the previous one. Final means ending position. Okay, the initial velocity is denoted by a letter u, small letter u. Initial velocity is denoted by letter small letter u. Final velocity is denoted by small letter v. So what is initial velocity? It is small letter u. Final velocity means small letter v. So what is average velocity? Average velocity is u plus v divided by 2. What is average velocity? U plus v divided by 2. What is u? Initial velocity. What is v? Final velocity. And if you know the two things, we can find out the average velocity. The equation, we are having two equations to find out the average velocity. One is total displacement divided by total time taken. Another one is initial velocity plus final velocity divided by 2. And the unit of speed and velocity both are same. What is the speed? Speed having the unit meter per second. Velocity also having the unit meter per second. Average velocity is also having the unit meter per second. All other things are same. Okay. Now we can solve for one problem, that is a car is changing its speed from 10 meter per second to 20 meter per second in 5 seconds. Okay, a car is changing its speed from 10 meter per second to 20 meter per second. So which is your initial velocity? Initial velocity means 10 meter per second. Final means 20. The time taken 5 seconds. So if you want to find out the average velocity, what you want to find out? Average velocity means initial velocity plus final velocity divided by 2, means u plus v divided by 2. Here u is 10, v is 20. So u plus v, 10 plus 20, which is equal to 30. 30 divided by 2 means 15. Yeah, 15 meter per second is your average velocity. Got the idea? So what are the things that we discussed up to now? We discussed about speed, we discussed about velocity, we discussed about average speed and average velocity. Got the idea? What is average velocity? Average velocity means total displacement divided by total time taken, or we can find out by initial velocity plus final velocity divided by 2. It is depending upon the condition. Suppose if you have initial velocity is given to you, then you cannot use the previous equation, displacement divided by time. You cannot use it. Depending upon the condition, if the displacement is given to you, then you can find out the average velocity by using total displacement divided by total time taken. Got it? It is depending upon the condition. What are the quantities that is given to you? Okay. Now we are moving to the another portion, that is rate of change of velocity. Rate of change of velocity. The rate is the word which is depending upon time. So rate of change means velocity is changing with respect to time. Similarly, rate of change of displacement, that stands for velocity, means rate of change of displacement. Displacement is changing with respect to time. That stands for, what is velocity with changing with respect to time? That stands for, or displacement changes with respect to time, that stands for velocity. Similarly, we are here discussing rate of change of velocity. That means velocity is changing with respect to time. That parameter is known as acceleration. Okay, what is velocity is changing with respect to time? That is known as the acceleration. Acceleration is denoted by small letter a. Acceleration is denoted by small letter a. So acceleration can be found out by using the equation final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. What is acceleration? It is the rate of change of velocity. Rate of change of velocity. What is rate of change? Velocity is changing with respect to time. So to find out the acceleration, we have a numerical equation. That numerical equation is acceleration a, which is equal to v minus u divided by 2. What is this v? V, sorry, it is not 2, it is time. Okay, please look into your textbook. Here you can see acceleration means change in velocity divided by time taken. That's why we call it as rate of change of velocity. The equation is given over there, a which is equal to what is a? The h is equal to v minus u divided by t. Can you see this equation? A which is equal to v minus u by t. What is v? V is final velocity. What is u? U is the initial velocity. So the change in velocity means final minus initial. That is change in velocity. What is time taken? Time taken is the, for changing the velocity, how much time is taken, that much is over there. Okay, this about acceleration. You can see other portions also in your textbook. Go to your textbook, you can see under the heading rate of change of velocity, you can see acceleration which is equal to change in velocity divided by time taken. Mathematically we will written as a is equal to v minus u divided by t. For other things, for the case of speed, average speed, which is here written as total, what is average speed? It's the total distance traveled divided by total time taken. which is written as v is equal to s divided by t. Or we have another equation for average velocity, that is initial velocity plus final velocity divided by 2, which is written as u plus v divided by 2. All those things you can see over there. So what we discussed right now, we discussed about acceleration, or we call it as rate of change of velocity. What is acceleration? Acceleration is rate of change of velocity. So which can be denoted as v minus u divided by t. Okay, v minus u divided by t. Here you have to consider one more thing, that is the average, sorry, the SI unit of velocity. SI unit of velocity, what was SI unit of velocity? The SI unit of velocity was meter per second. Similarly, the SI unit of acceleration is meter per second square. The SI unit of velocity was meter per second, but SI unit of acceleration is meter per second square. Got the idea? So here you have a problem. In this problem, the initial velocity was 0, final velocity was 6 meter per second, and time was 30 seconds. So to find out the acceleration, we are finding final minus initial means 6 minus 0 divided by time is 30 seconds. So we will get 6 divided by 30 second, 0.2 meter per second square. That is the acceleration. So got it? So these are the portion that we discussed on today. We discussed some small points, starting with velocity, acceleration, speed, and all those things, right? So just try to revise all those things. What are this? We had distance. Distance is the total path length traveled. And we move to speed. What is speed? It is the rate of change of distance. Rate of change of distance means distance divided by time is speed. What is velocity? Rate of change of displacement. That means displacement divided by time. Then we move to acceleration, rate of change of velocity. Okay, so please make a note about all those things and study properly. Okay, thank you.